Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Always Football Podcast. I'm your host, Cameron. Alongside me is my co-host, Alex. Alex, tell us how you're doing today.
Doing great, man. I'm looking forward to these games on Sunday.
Yeah, man, me too. I'm happy about it. I'm sure the listeners are happy about it. But before we get into the games on Sunday, which is something we will be discussing later on, I would like to go ahead and discuss what we saw on Thursday night football. The Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have played one of the best football games I've ever watched. I felt very competitive the entire time. Tons of turnovers. I mean, I loved every second of it.
Yeah, it's probably going to go down as one of the best games of the year, honestly. And it was just the first game, so yeah, let's get talking about it though. So I think what we saw from Dallas, I think there was a lot of positives from Dallas, man. I was not expecting that competitive of a game, honestly. But we saw Dak. He looked like he didn't miss a step. He didn't look like he went down at all. Like he had that terrible leg injury. He looked like himself. He looked so confident. And it was largely due because to that offensive line. They were fantastic. Even without Zach Martin, they had the returning tackles. They're two really good tackles. But yeah, I didn't expect that at all. But we did see, you know, what we did expect, and that was the defense for Dallas being really shaky. They did force four turnovers, but um, man, Brady was just picking them apart. Either over the middle of the field or outside. I mean, he was just torching that defense. So, but man, there was a lot of positives from Dallas.
Yeah, man, I thought Dallas played a really, really good game. I'm a Cowboys fan, so I was definitely enjoying watching Dak play like he was at the beginning of last season. Um, I mean, this was a really good game for this Cowboys team. This Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense was in the Super Bowl with the same 11 starters a couple months ago and held the Chiefs' offense to 9 points. But Dak Prescott and this Cowboys offense were able to drop 29 on this team. I believe, right? It was 29-31 was the final score.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you dropped 29 on a defense that just held a team to 9 in the Super Bowl. I mean, I think that's fantastic. Zeke was a little shaky, but besides that, that offense was rolling. Amari Cooper really proving he's one of the most underrated receivers in the league. Uh, it was a wonderful game for that offense, but like you said, it was a little shaky for that defense. Even though they did have the 4 turnovers, it seemed like some of these players were just unstoppable for them. And that's going to be a big factor going into the season for the Cowboys team alone. I think I saw something today. The Dallas Cowboys are 0-17 since 2019 if the defense, if the offense doesn't score 30 points. So the offensive firepower is just not going to be enough. That defense has to step up. I think Trayvon Diggs looked good. I thought he was looking great. Um, I think he was only allowed one catch, and he had a pick on Tom Brady. Almost had another one, but he dropped it. I mean, I think there's a lot of positives about this Cowboys team. A lot more than I definitely was thinking I was going to see after this Cowboys Bucks game. But I think there's a lot of positives for the Bucks team too. I mean, Tom Brady has aged like fine wine. He does not look any different than he has. Throughout his career, he still looks as great as he has been. And I mean, the veterans on that team is just like powerful. Gronkowski was absolutely insane that game. I mean, there was not a Cowboys player that could take him down. And then Antonio Brown, over 100 yards. Like, that's amazing for a man of his age. I think both these teams are looking amazing for this season. And it's definitely going to be something to look forward to.
Yeah, you explained it exactly how I was going to. In my notes, I literally wrote Brady is still ageless. AB and Gronk still got it. So yeah, I couldn't have said it any better than you. Yeah, that man Brady, he has aged like a fine wine. You're correct. He's not missed a step. His arm, he's throwing it better than any 43-year-old that we've ever seen. Obviously, like you have these aged quarterbacks in the NFL. You got a Matt Ryan, you have Philip Rivers who retired, Drew Brees who retired, and they didn't have nearly the arm strength that he still got at this age. So it's something else. I think there was some definite step backs for the Bucks, in the form of their defense. Their defense did struggle quite a bit. Their pass rush wasn't there. Dak seemed pretty comfortable, like I mentioned before. The edge rushers, JPP and Shaq Barrett, they really did struggle to get around. One guy I was impressed by was Joe Tryon, the rookie. He looked pretty electric when he was in there. They used him in a bunch of different areas. But and then another part of that Buccaneers team that struggled was their secondary. We did see Sean Murphy Bunting get injured early in that game, but that is an excuse for what they allowed. I mean, we are talking about probably a top 3 receiving core in the league, but for a team that held Kansas City to 9 points in that Super Bowl, it was pretty shocking to me, honestly. But yeah, I couldn't agree more with what you said before about Tom Brady and that offense, Cameron.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of positives to both these teams. I think that Bucks team was great. I agree with the struggle. The defense, I just like the passing game. Like Dak was able to drop, man, I can't remember. It was I know it was over 300 yards on him and 3 touchdowns. He looked plain out unstoppable off that ankle injury. But then, on the other hand, they held Zeke to under 50 yards. And I mean, I think that's a big positive for that team going forward. I mean, Vita Vea, that man was unstoppable. He was getting through the O-line. He was making plays on offense. Like, they have so many good pieces there for that Tampa Bay team that this 2-point win, that's just the start of it. This team is going to look great for the entire rest of the season. But with that being said, I think we can go ahead and move on to our Sunday games, our week 1 predictions, Alex. I'm excited to do this with you. Definitely something I didn't think we would actually be doing when we started this podcast, but I like the idea of a little Sunday morning episode right before the games start. So, the first game I'm going to talk about, I think, is the Seahawks and the Colts. We're going to see Russell Wilson back on this field with DK Metcalf and newly signed Chris Carson looking to, turn something around. They haven't been that same team they were since 2014. And I know they want that, but then you're looking at the Colts team who has changed quarterbacks the past 3 seasons, finally look like they might have a guy with Carson Wentz coming in there in that powerful line. So, Alex, who do you got picked for that game?
Yeah, so I understand that the Colts have changed their quarterbacks a bunch over the last few years, but I think they got their guy now, Carson Wentz. And with that said, I'm going to take Colts over Seahawks. I think that their offensive line is going to be way too overpowering for Seattle. And for that reason alone, I'm taking the Colts.
Yeah, no, that team is just absolutely great. But I'm going to have to go on the other side of you, Alex. I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I think Russell Wilson is an amazing player, but not only is he an amazing player, he's an amazing first half of the season player. It seems like the past few seasons, he plays week 1, week 2, week 3, and everybody's saying he's going to be unanimous MVP because that's what he does. He's putting up the stats like he deserves it. Wilson wants it bad. I think he wants to go back bad, and I think this is his chance this season in this game. I mean, I think that this team is a little too strong for the Colts, so I'm going to go ahead and pick the Seahawks over them.
Yeah, that would certainly be a good start for Russ to make that MVP case finally. So, fair point.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the next game. I want to talk about Houston and Jacksonville. Houston obviously has had a lot of problems throughout the past season, losing Hopkins, losing J.J. Watt, and now Deshaun Watson on the bench. Tyrod Taylor, now your starting quarterback. And you're going against the Jacksonville Jaguars team who had the worst record in the league last year, got the first overall pick, and brought in the golden boy himself, Trevor Lawrence, to team up with, I feel like, a pretty powerful roster. So I'm going to go ahead and bring out my pick right now. However, as much as I think that Jaguars roster is powerful, I think Trevor Lawrence is making his first start in the NFL. And Tyrod Taylor is not as bad as people think. I'm going to go with the Texans there. I like Tyrod Taylor, and I think he's going to do something special and shock the league. So I'm going Texans week 1 win.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It is Trevor's first game. And Tyrod is a very underrated quarterback. He lost his job last year to Herbert after a whole debacle with the Chargers organization. I don't even know what happened, but I am gonna I'm gonna stick with the Jaguars in this game. The Texans are entering a really really long rebuild. It looks like, and they just traded away Roby, so you're losing that cornerback depth. He was probably their best defensive back there. Um, but I just don't think that the Texans have that firepower on offense either. So with that said, yeah, I'm taking the Jags and the Golden Boy over the Texans.
No, I definitely could see him turning things around. He's definitely one of the most NFL ready quarterbacks we've seen in a good bit. You gotta love Trevor Lawrence. Moving on to the next game, Alex, we got your Falcons going against a sorry Eagles team. I'll say that as a Cowboys fan. Jalen Hurts has received a lot of hate over the offseason, and I think he could be ready to turn things around with the Heisman winner Devontae Smith on his side and Zach Ertz remaining in Philly. However, Matt Ryan also got a weapon this season. Kyle Pitts, unstoppable tight end, and Calvin Ridley still in wide receiver core. So, Alex, what do you see happening in this game?
Yeah, I think this is no shock. Actually, this is a shock because I'm really low on the Falcons this season. But this is the one game I'm very, very confident in the Falcons taking. I don't think the Eagles have a strong roster. It's a mess, like I mentioned in our first episode over there. And yeah, the Falcons just have a bunch of weapons. Calvin Ridley, like you mentioned, Kyle Pitts, as you mentioned. I also think Hayden Hurst is a nice piece. Russell
Oh,
Gage,
yeah.
and then they have Mike Davis in that backfield. And I think that the Falcons will come into this game with a lot of fire, and that offense fire power that they got, I think it's going to be too much for the Eagles. So for that reason, I am taking my Falcons over the Eagles.
Yeah, no, Alex, I agree with every last thing you just said there. It's kind of weird considering you're a Falcons fan, but I feel like I'm a lot higher on this Falcons team this season. And really, in my opinion, this shouldn't even be a problem for this team. I think Matt Ryan's an amazing passer, and I know you think that too. The only thing they're going to struggle with is the loss of Julio Jones. I mean, maybe adapting to a new coach, but I think this team is ready. And I think I agree. Hayden Hurst, an amazing tight end. And you add Kyle Pitts to that tight end core, and you give this team a chance at having the best tight end core by the end of the season. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with this offense. And I just don't know. I'm not that high on Jalen Hurts. And then on top of that, I believe there's a quarterback controversy that's going to start brewing in Philly with Gardner Minshew joining. Uh, yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Falcons over the Eagles there. I just don't think it's going to be much of a challenge for that Falcons team. Um, Moving on, the next game, we got the Chargers and we got the Washington football team. Football team seems to be the only thing they're struggling with is their quarterback situation, Ryan Fitzmagic. But that defense is looking unstoppable. I mean, they put up a fight with their third string guy against the eventual Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs. But then you go against the Chargers, who had Rookie of the Year Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen. I mean, and then that defense with Derwin James and Joey Bosa. I mean, you got two really good teams. I'm going to start this one off here. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Chargers. I like Justin Herbert for the season. I'm going to hope he doesn't fall for that sophomore slump that we see a lot of these players go for. I think he's great. I think with Keenan Allen on that team, I think you got a lot of firepower to work with. And I don't know how much I'm going to trust Fitzmagic right away. So with that, I'm going to go with the Chargers. Alex?
Yeah, so before the podcast, I did have Washington taking this game over the Chargers, but you mentioned Justin Herbert, and it just made me remember of last season and how great he was. I mean, he proved me wrong. I was pretty low on Herbert coming into the draft last season, and man, he was awesome to watch. He reminded me of Andrew Luck, honestly. So, uh, but yeah, I'm taking the Chargers over Washington. Washington really doesn't have a quarterback. Well, they have a quarterback, but it's week one with a new quarterback, and they also just lost. They also just put Curtis Samuel, their new signing this offseason, on IR. So their offense is going to be a little weaker, and I think that the Chargers' offense is just going to be, you know, a very, very strong. They're going to be. They're a superpower on that offense. They have a bunch of weapons for Herbert surrounding him. Their offensive line improved, and I just think that the Chargers will take this one over Washington. I think they're just a little too young, and Chargers will take this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself, Alex. I think that Chargers team is going to be a little too good for that Washington defense. Moving on to the next game, what I think will be one of the best 1 o'clock games. We got the Steelers and the Bills. Pittsburgh coming off that amazing regular season and then an immediate loss in the wild card to that Browns team. And Josh Allen coming into a season where a lot of people got him predicted as an MVP favorite. I mean, you have two really good teams here, and I really think anything can happen. So, Alex, you tell me, what do you got? Who do you have picked here?
Yeah, so I'm taking my MVP prediction, Josh Allen to take this week 1 win over the Steelers. Last year we saw the Bills take on the Steelers late in the season, and I think Buffalo won pretty comfortably. Ben Roethlisberger didn't even throw over 200 yards if I'm remembering correctly. So the Bills got a really good defense, and their offense is obviously led by Josh Allen. The Steelers have an aging quarterback and a bunch of really young weapons for him that have shown immaturity. And I just, I'm not a big fan of the Steelers this year. I think they're a little overhyped. And yeah, I'm going to take the Bills over the Steelers. This is my lock pick of the week.
I definitely agree with that Bills team. Just they're really good. I mean, the Steelers, I agree, have a quarterback that is just aging, and he's not aging like Tom Brady. He's not aging like fine wine. I mean, it's like we've seen an expiration date on Big Ben, and it's coming up. But like you said, they have young superstars on that offense. I mean, they just drafted the running back, Najee Harris. You got, who is it? Juju on the wide receiver core coming back. I mean, I still have a lot of high hopes for this team. TJ Watt on the defense. That defense was amazing last season. But with that being said, I agree Josh Allen is going to be an MVP favorite this season, and I think it starts week 1. I love Stephon Diggs, and I think he can be an Offensive Player of the Year favorite, and that starts week 1. These two are just going to be flat out unstoppable for this Steelers defense. So I'm going to side with you. I'm going to take the Bills over the Steelers this week. All right, the next game, we got the 49ers and the Detroit Lions. So the 49ers, they have Jimmy G and Trey Lance fighting for that QB1 spot. I believe Jimmy G will be starting. And a defense that seems like it's mostly coming off injury. We saw a lot of injuries for that 49ers team last season, which is what really held them back after their Super Bowl appearance. So we should be expecting a bounce back. This Lions team, it seems like they're going the opposite direction. I mean, you bring in Jared Goff and you lose your star quarterback, and it seems like what we've seen throughout the offseason that this Lions team is just kind of falling to shambles. So I'm going to start it off. I love Jared Goff and this Lions team, but I don't know how I feel about the Lions winning week 1. I got the 49ers. I think this offense is just way overpowered, and then this defense is top 3 in the league when they're healthy. I mean, it's such a great team, and I just can't see them losing to the Detroit Lions. And not only am I going to have this 49ers team winning, but I'm going to have them as my lock. I cannot see them losing to the Lions. I think Jared Goff's going to struggle in a new system, and it's really going to show against this 49ers team. So I'm going 49ers here, Alex.
Yeah, Cameron, a lot of what you said made sense. I think that this Lions team is a little bit underrated, honestly. Their new head coach, Dan Campbell, has really, really shifted the mentality on that team. Yeah, they do have a lot of young pieces. Yeah, it does look like they're entering another rebuild, but I think the game will be more competitive than what most people think. Just based on that coaching staff, it seems like they've got a lot going on there. But that being said, I do think that the 49ers will take this one. Their defense is top 5 when healthy. We saw that in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. That's what got them there. And yeah, they're just going to be too overwhelming likely for the Lions. So yeah, I'm going to take the Niners also.
Yeah, no doubt. Moving on, We got the Vikings and the Cincinnati Bengals. I think two really good stories there for two really good sophomore guys. Justin Jefferson just came off an amazing rookie of the year caliber year, obviously losing the award to Justin Herbert, but definitely was winnable for him. You still got Kirk Cousins, you still got Dalvin Cook. I mean, that team is looking like they're going to be great. However, you got Joe Burrow teamed up with Jamar Chase now in Cincinnati. It's definitely going to be a good battle here. Alex, what are you thinking, Vikings or Bengals?
Yeah, so I like what you said about the sophomores, man. It's gonna be fun to watch those guys again. But yeah, I think the Vikings are gonna take this one pretty easily. I don't think Cincinnati's defense is quite ready to take on such a powerful offense that the Vikings are bringing. Burrow will probably put up a good fight. He's gonna put up a heck of a game, even despite coming off a ACL. I think he'll look similar to probably Dak in what we saw on Thursday night. But yeah, I'm taking the Vikings. I think their offense is going to be way too much for Cincinnati's defense.
I hear you. And one of the things I really agree with is that Joe Burrow is going to have a game similar to the Dak's on Thursday night. However, Joe Burrow is not playing Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Joe Burrow is playing Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. I think this team, this offense is actually going to be very underrated. I know the O-line wasn't worked on as hard as it should have been, but you bring in a wide receiver with Jamar Chase and you still got Joe Mixon in the backfield. I think Joe Burrow is ready. I think Joe Burrow is going to go crazy. So you can call it an upset, but I'm going to have the Bengals beating the Vikings here. So, yeah. All right, moving on. We got the Jets and the Panthers. The Jets bringing a new quarterback, Zach Wilson. And, I mean, they're looking to start fresh, start over because it seemed like their guy in 2018 just wasn't right. However, their guy in 2018 will be starting for the team they're playing against. The Carolina Panthers now have Sam Darnold, Christian McCaffrey coming back off that injury, and DJ Moore looking to tear it up. We definitely got two good teams here. I'm going to start it off. I got the Panthers. I think Christian McCaffrey's hungry, and I think Christian McCaffrey's been waiting for this. And I think it's his time to shine. I don't think this is going to be as much as of a Sam Darnold revenge game against the Jets as people might think it is going to be, because I don't think it's going to be surrounded around him. That offense is not going to be surrounded around Darnold. It's going to be more like a 2016 Cowboys team where like Dak was there and he was playing good, but they were handing the ball off to Zeke every play. I think that's what we're going to see with the Panthers this year. It's just going to be Christian McCaffrey's team. And I really don't think anybody in that Jets defense is going to be able to slow him down. Alex?
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of the better games of this opening weekend. Obviously, it is a huge revenge game for Sam Darnold. A lot of people have been looking forward to this one, but I think Sam Darnold's revenge game is going to be he's not going to get it. I think Zach Wilson is going to simply overpower that Panthers defense. I don't care if this is his first NFL game. I think that off the bat, we're going to see what Zach Wilson's all about. I think that I believe that Vegas has taken the Panthers to win this one, so this is going to be my upset of the week. I think Wilson and that offense are going to be able to move smoothly past a young Panthers defense. I know the Jets offense is young as well, but I think that Zach has such a command on that offense. He's proven it throughout this whole offseason process, and I think the coaching is also going to show heavily in this one. I think you have a better head coach over in New York than you do in Carolina. So, yeah, for that reason, I'm going to take the Jets as my upset of the week over the Panthers.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good upset, Alex. And I definitely agree with Zach Wilson. I really think that he could show what he is made of week one. I'm high on him. Probably not as high as you are, but I do like Zach Wilson a lot. The next game we got is the Cardinals and the Titans. The Tennessee Titans have just looked plain out unstoppable the past 2 years. But, I mean, most of them probably talking about Derrick Henry. He has been great, 2,000 yards rushing last season, and now he's got an extra game to see if he can beat that. But he's 100 yards every game without a problem. You still got Ryan Tannehill, who has just evolved into what I consider a top 10 quarterback in this league. And now he's got more help. You already had A.J. Brown, but now you bring in veteran Julio Jones. Alex's favorite man in the world. And I think this Titans offense is just going to be amazing. But then you look at the Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals, they're starting to look like the Houston Cardinals with the additions they've made in the past few years. You got Kyler Murray now teamed up with DeAndre Hopkins. And on the defensive side, you got Chandler Jones teamed up with J.J. Watt. So, Alex, what are you thinking? You got the Arizona Cardinals, or do you have the Titans?
You mentioned the word unstoppable, how the Titans have been unstoppable over the last 2 years. They've gotten even more unstoppable this offseason. Like you mentioned, they added Julio Jones to that offense. You're talking about a three-headed monster. I mean, you could say four-headed monster with Tannehill. There is no stopping that offense. The Cardinals do not have the pieces in that secondary to stop that firepower. They do not have the pieces on that defensive line to stop Derrick Henry from running all over them. I don't think this is going to be a competition at all, honestly. I think the Titans will walk over the Cardinals in this one.
And, I agree. It does not seem like that Cardinals defense has much. And, I'm from Texas, and from where I'm around, we're taught to love J.J. Watt from a young age. I mean, that man is seen as a role model. But it seems like that's just what he's becoming, just a role model. He's not the superstar in the league he was years ago. He's definitely decreasing. Chandler Jones he's getting older, and there's really just nothing back there to slow down A.J. Brown or Julio Jones, and then Derrick Henry. I mean, yeah, there's no reason for this Titans team not to win. So I'm going to agree. I'm going to have the Titans over the Cardinals. Moving on. My opinion will be game of the week, something I'm most excited for. Got the Cleveland Browns, and you got the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs coming off a awful Super Bowl loss. I mean, Patrick Mahomes hated that, hit him hard, but that team is still looking powerful. You still got Travis Kelce, you still got Tyreek Hill, and you still have an amazing team. But you want to talk about one of your most filled rosters, you can talk about the Chiefs, but another team you have to bring up is the Cleveland Browns. Odell Beckham, back off injury. Jarvis Landry, ready to do good. Nick Chubb, my pick for Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, he's ready to run all over it. And Baker Mayfield has just matured in the past few years. You got Myles Garrett on that defense. I mean, that Browns team looks absolutely amazing. I'm going to start it off. Alex, I told you, I don't know if I told you before the podcast, I had the Chiefs winning, but just thinking about it, I like this Browns team a lot. I'm a big fan of them. And as unusual as it seems to pick Patrick Mahomes to lose a game, something I really don't usually do, I'm going to pick the Cleveland Browns over Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs here. Baker Mayfield has been maturing, like I said. He's just been looking better and better every season. If Odell Beckham can stay healthy throughout this game, and if Odell Beckham can just play like Odell Beckham does, I think this Browns team should have no problem against this Chiefs team.
That is very fair. You mentioned a lot of good things, a lot of fair points about the Browns, but we're talking about Patrick Mahomes. We're talking about the Chiefs offense and them coming off of a rough Super Bowl win. Like you said, they're coming for revenge, I think. This is going to be probably, I think we're going to see the best of Mahomes in this week one. He's coming off a really bad loss. And man, I'm excited to see him like more fired, like the most fired up he's probably been since his rookie year to prove himself. I don't see the Browns stopping him, and I'm going to take the Chiefs. I think that Mahomes is coming with a lot of revenge, and yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs, man.
No, I agree. I think that Chiefs team is really good. I have a lot of love for the Browns, and so I'm going to go ahead and pick them. Moving on to the next game, a team I really do love. Talk about teams I really love. We got the Miami Dolphins going against the New England Patriots. New England Patriots, they lose Tom Brady 2 seasons ago, or 2 off seasons ago, whatever you want to call it. And they've been searching for their guy ever since. Cam Newton was not that guy, and they bring in Mac Jones, and Belichick's trying to say he is that guy. Mac Jones really just doesn't have much offensive power, though. I mean, he's got Hunter Henry, and that tight end core, but I mean, it's not really too much. And then you look at the Dolphins team, Tua Tagovailoa, who has been hit with slander all offseason, and now given more weapons with Will Fuller on that team. And you already had Parker, and you already had Gesicki. I think that Dolphins team is looking great. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Dolphins here. Alex?
Yeah. So I think it's fair what you're saying, but uh, we're talking about Bill Belichick taking his team off of a bad year. Uh, Mac Jones is probably one of the smartest starting rookie quarterbacks you're going to see this year in terms of just overall football IQ. And you're combining that with Bill Belichick. I don't see the Dolphins. They do have a really good defensive core for sure, but with just those two minds, taking over a field, I don't see the Dolphins stopping that. Brian Flores is a great coach. He's proven that. That defense has proven it, but I don't think it'll be enough to. I don't think it'll also be enough to compensate for their offense. Will Fuller is suspended still. Devontae Parker, I believe, is still injured. So you're having Jalen Waddle as your wide receiver one for the first week of the season against the New England Patriots. Their defense has really not gotten any worse. They still have Stephon Gilmore. They still have J.C. Jackson. They still have Jonathan Jones. So I don't see the Dolphins coming out on the right side of this one. I'm going to take the Patriots for sure over the Dolphins.
I hear what you're saying, and I knew about Will Fuller being suspended. I forgot about Will Fuller being suspended. So that's definitely going to be a big hit. So yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, and I definitely agree. I think this will definitely be a good game, and I think the Patriots could easily win, but I'm going to stick with the Dolphins. Moving on to the next one, we got the Denver Broncos and the New York Giants. I think both are teams that are looking. They're very quarterback needy. I mean, Danny Dimes is starting to look like Danny 3 Cent. He's not as good as it seemed he was going to be his rookie season. You given him decent weapons with Slayton and Shepard, but he's just not getting it done. Evan Ingram can't hold on to a football to save his life. The only positive I'm seeing for this Giants offense is Saquon Barkley coming back, and even as a Cowboys fan, I'm excited to see it. I love Saquon Barkley a lot. And then you look at this Broncos team, you got a quarterback controversy, but it looks like Teddy Bridgewater will start. Cortland Sutton's back off injury. Melvin Gordon's still in that backfield. Yeah, and that defense is just all back. So, Alex, who do you got picked here for this Broncos-Giants game?
Yeah, so I'm going to take the Giants actually. Their defense is really good under Joe Judge. They proved that last year. They're top 5 defense easily. And yeah, Danny Dimes, he has looked really. I mean, it's been a up and down road for him the last few seasons. But I think he'll bounce back this year. I'm expecting a bit of a bounce back for Danny Dimes. I'm looking for a season where he'll prove himself. I think it starts early, obviously, and against a relatively strong Broncos team. I think the Giants and I think their collective team will show they're just going to put together a better game over the Broncos. And like you said, the Broncos are starting Teddy Bridgewater, and I don't like the fit there. So I'm going to take the Giants.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I definitely agree. But I think this Broncos team is looking really good. You're watching a lot of this team come back. Like this defense, it's just Von Miller was off on injury, and now you're watching this team kind of like come back together. I have high hopes for that defense. And Teddy Bridgewater, I agree, he's not that great. He really did struggle in Carolina, but I like what he has. I like what he has here. You got Noah Fant, Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Melvin Gordon. I mean, you have some good weapons around you. I don't see any reason for this Broncos team to lose unless, like you said, Danny Dimes has a bounce back year. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Denver Broncos here over the Giants. Yeah, so moving on to the last game we'll talk about this episode. It's the last 4 o'clock game. We got the New Orleans Saints and the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers had a lot of controversy over the season, thinking Aaron Rodgers might just be out, but him and Devontae Adams have agreed on a last dance season. This will be their last time, their last week 1 in Green Bay jerseys. And I'm sure they're looking to show out. And you look on the other side of things, the Saints, they just lost their quarterback who's been there for so many years, their quarterback that won them a Super Bowl. they're definitely going to struggle. But Jameis Winston coming in, I have high hopes for him. Michael Thomas getting ready. Alvin Kamara, I love that man. I think that's going to be a good team. So I'm going to start off here. I think the Packers are a strong team going into this season, but I really like the Saints. I really like Jameis Winston starting with this team and getting his second shot. And I really don't see Jameis Winston messing it up again. I'm going to have the Saints beating the Packers, and that's going to be my upset for the week. I just think it's a really good team, and you're not really you're downgrading at quarterback, but like comparing like an older Drew Brees to like a now Jameis Winston, I think Jameis Winston's going to play as good as he needs to. And I'm going to have this Saints team beating this Packers team.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as a Falcons fan, I hate the Saints, but that's not the reason I'm going to pick against them. The Saints are coming into this week with Jameis Winston as their starting quarterback. Jameis is we'll see, to be determined. But he's coming against a strong Packers team on a strong Packers defense, and he's really got no weapons to throw to. Michael Thomas is out. You have, I don't even know. You have like Marquez Callaway, the preseason hero, and then you have Kamara, and then you have like Adam Troutman, a sophomore tight end that's looking to prove himself. So he really doesn't have many targets to go to, and the Packers have just a really good secondary as it is. So I don't know who he's going to throw to out there, and then obviously you have the reigning MVP. Aaron Rodgers coming and throwing against the Saints. They did add Bradley Roby other day in the trade with Houston, but that's not going to stop Aaron Rodgers. That's not going to stop Devontae Adams. That's not going to stop Aaron Jones. It's not going to stop Robert Tonyan. I'm going to take the Packers.
Yeah, no, I agree. The Packers team is really, really strong. I just have high hopes for Jameis Winston. With that being said, though, that's going to be the end of our predictions for the Sunday day games. We'll be putting out content right before the Sunday night and Monday night games with a quick little discussion over what we expect to happen and what the pros and cons will be for each team. With that being said, thank you guys for watching and tuning in. If you guys enjoyed, we'd appreciate it if you'd follow, like, and subscribe. We're on Instagram too, always football podcast. You can follow us there. There's no underscores, no dots. I think I'm pretty sure I'm right. Yes, Alex?
Yeah, it'll be linked in the description. Don't worry.
All right, yeah. So y'all check the description to follow our Instagram. Subscribe on the YouTube, like the video. We appreciate y'all for watching. I hope you enjoy week 1. Thank you.